The morning rush at Brew and Bloom Cafe was as relentless as ever. The hiss of the espresso machine blended with the chatter of early commuters and the hum of soft jazz. Ava Clark, hair tied in a loose bun and apron dusted with coffee grounds, worked behind the counter with her usual quiet rhythm. She'd been at the cafe for 3 years now, long enough to know the regulars by their orders and the new faces by their hesitation. Her life had become a steady loop: grind the beans, steam the milk, smile, repeat. It wasn't what she'd dreamed of as a little girl in Maplewood, but dreams had a way of fading when life got in the way. That morning, as she wiped down the counter, the door chimed, and in walked a man who made her pause without knowing why. He looked like someone out of a glossy magazine: tall, tailored coat, wristwatch gleaming under the soft cafe lights. He scanned the room, eyes sharp yet distant, before stepping up to the counter. "Good morning," she said, forcing her voice to steady. He smiled faintly. "Good morning. Large black coffee, please." Simple order. Deep voice. Familiar cadence. Something tugged at her memory. A tone, an inflection, a ghost of laughter from a different time. She glanced up again, studying him as she poured the coffee. His dark hair was neatly styled, but there was a faint scar by his temple. That tiny mark jolted her heart. She remembered a boy falling off a bike in the summer of 2008. A boy who had laughed even as his knee bled. A boy named Ethan Hale. No, she told herself. It couldn't be. Ethan had moved away years ago after his parents' divorce. They'd promised to keep in touch, exchanging letters for a while before time and distance swallowed the friendship. The last she'd heard, he'd gone abroad for college, and that was over a decade ago. "Here you go," she said, sliding the cup toward him. "Thanks," he replied, taking it gently. His eyes lingered on her name tag. "Ava," he said it softly, as if testing the sound. She felt a flutter of recognition, or was it hope? "Yes," she said quickly. "Have a nice day." He gave a faint smile, then turned and left. But he didn't leave her mind. The next morning, he came again. Same order, same smile, only this time, he stayed a while, taking a seat by the window with a laptop. Ava tried not to watch him, but curiosity won. The more she saw him, the more she was sure it was Ethan. The scar, the hazel eyes, the half smile that tilted slightly to the left. She wanted to ask, but what would she say? "Hey, are you the boy I used to catch fireflies with behind the school playground?" It sounded ridiculous. Besides, what if she was wrong? By the 4th visit, he spoke first. "You make good coffee," he said. She smiled shyly. "It's the beans, not me." "I'd disagree." He leaned on the counter, eyes glinting with amusement. "You always were good at making things better." Ava froze. "Always were." She looked up sharply, and the years melted away. "Ethan," she whispered. His smile widened, softer, warmer. "Hey, Ava." The air between them seemed to crackle with all the unspoken years. "I thought you were gone." He chuckled. "Yeah, for a while. Moved to London with my dad. Came back recently for business." Business. The word seemed to follow him like an aura. There was something about his demeanor, calm, confident, that hinted at success. But she didn't ask. It felt strange enough having him here again after so long. Over the next few days, Ethan became a fixture at the cafe. Sometimes he'd chat with her during lulls, other times, he'd work quietly on his laptop. They fell into an easy rhythm, one that reminded Ava of childhood afternoons spent by the lake, sharing stories and secrets. One evening, as she was closing up, Ethan stayed behind. "Walk with me?" he asked. They strolled down the quiet street, leaves crunching beneath their feet. "So," Ava began, glancing at him. "What kind of business brings you back?" He hesitated. "Real estate, mostly. A few tech ventures. It's complicated." She laughed. "That sounds like billionaire talk." He smiled faintly. "Maybe." She thought he was joking, until, a week later, her coworker Lily gasped while scrolling through her phone. "Ava, you'll never believe this. That guy who comes here, Ethan Hale, he's on Forbes. He owns Hale Dynamics. He's worth, like, $1 billion. Ava nearly dropped her mug. "You're kidding." Lily showed her the screen. There he was, Ethan, in a sharp navy suit, standing in front of a glass skyscraper. The caption read, "Ethan Hale, 32, tech visionary and CEO of Hale Dynamics." That evening, when he came by, Ava felt a wall rise between them. She smiled politely, but the warmth had faded into nervous formality. He noticed immediately. What's wrong? He asked. Nothing, she said too quickly. He sighed. You saw it, didn't you? Yeah, she looked down. I just didn't realize who you'd become. Ethan chuckled softly. I'm still me, Ava. Same guy who couldn't ride a bike straight. Yeah, but she gestured helplessly. You're you. Billionaire, CEO, all of that. I'm just a barista. He stepped closer, his gaze gentle. You're the girl who once gave me half her sandwich when I forgot my lunch. The one who taught me how to make paper cranes. I haven't forgotten that. She blinked, fighting a wave of emotion. He continued, money didn't change what mattered. I came here because I bought this cafe's building. I was supposed to meet the manager, but then I saw you, and I couldn't walk away. Ava's breath caught. You bought the building, he nodded. I wasn't planning to interfere, but maybe I could offer you something more. Not a job, a chance. What do you want, Ava? She hesitated, eyes glistening. I wanted to open my own cafe once. But life doesn't have to stop you, he interrupted softly. Let me help, partner with me, let's make that dream real. For a long moment, she said nothing. The night air was cool, the city lights painting his face in golden shadow. Finally, she smiled, the same smile she'd worn years ago when they'd raced down the Maplewood Hill. Okay, she said quietly. But only if I still get to make the coffee. He laughed. Deal. And as they stood beneath the streetlight, the years between them seemed to dissolve, two lives circling back to where it all began, with a cup of coffee and a second chance. The morning hum of Brew and Bloom Cafe was as constant as the espresso machine's hiss. The aroma of roasted beans filled the air as Ava Clark moved behind the counter, her hands instinctively reaching for cups, filters, and sugar packets. She'd been here 3 years, and though the work was steady, her dreams had grown quiet, like old songs she no longer played. The bell over the door jingled. A man walked in, tall, sharply dressed, carrying an air of quiet confidence. He didn't belong to the usual stream of sleepy commuters. His suit looked expensive, his watch gleamed faintly in the morning light, and yet his eyes, there was something in them that pulled at her memory. Good morning, she greeted, slipping on her best polite smile. Good morning, he returned, voice low and warm. Black coffee, please, large. As she prepared the order, she found herself studying him. There was a faint scar near his right temple, barely visible, but enough to strike a chord deep inside her. Where have I seen that before? She slid the cup toward him. Here you go. He smiled, brief, but genuine. Thanks. His gaze lingered on her name tag. Ava. He said her name softly, like it wasn't the first time. Her heart gave a small, confusing flutter. She nodded awkwardly, forcing a professional grin. Enjoy your coffee. He turned and left, and she tried to shake the feeling that she'd just met a ghost from another life. But he came again the next day. And the day after that. Always the same order, always the same quiet, observant smile. And every time, she caught herself watching him, the way he typed on his laptop with focus, or how he'd pause to look out the window as if remembering something lost. By the fourth visit, he spoke first. You make good coffee, he said, standing by the counter. She smiled shyly. Thanks, it's mostly the beans. He shook his head, that faint smile tugging at his lips. You always said that it's never about the person, just the things they use. Ava froze. What did you just say? He leaned forward slightly. You don't remember me, do you? Her breath caught. The scar, the eyes, the tone. Ethan, she whispered. He smiled fully then, the same crooked grin she remembered from the summers of her childhood. Hey, Ava, she gasped, half laughing. Oh my God, Ethan Hale, I can't believe it. Neither can I, he said. Didn't think I'd find you here after all these years. Ava couldn't stop smiling, but a question hung unspoken in the air. What had happened to him since Maplewood? As they spoke between customers, snippets of old memories came flooding back, bikes, summer fairs, pinky promises to stay friends forever. When he left that afternoon, he said, see you tomorrow. She nodded. Yeah, see you tomorrow, but she didn't yet know who he had become, or how much her tomorrow was about to change. Part 2. The Billionaire Behind the Smile. By the next week, Ethan had become a regular again, though now he wasn't a stranger, but a memory come to life. He'd sit by the same window, coffee in hand, sometimes chatting with Ava, sometimes lost in work. The rhythm felt easy, natural, as if the years between them had never happened. Still, something about him had changed. His phone buzzed constantly. He spoke to people in clipped tones about projects, shares, deals. He never bragged, but the quiet authority in his voice told Ava that he wasn't the same boy who once got grass stains on his jeans. One evening, after closing, he lingered by the counter. "Walk with me," he asked. The night was cool as they strolled down the quiet street. Streetlights painted his face in amber and shadow. "So," she said, glancing up at him, "what brings you back to town after all this time?" He smiled faintly. "Business, mostly. My company's expanding here. I'm overseeing a few projects." Ava blinked. "Company? You started a business?" He laughed softly. "Something like that." The way he said it made her curious, but she didn't push. To her, he was still Ethan, the boy who used to race her down Maplewood Hill, not some high-powered executive. The next morning, Ava's coworker Lily came rushing in, phone in hand, eyes wide. "Ava, you'll never believe this, that guy you talked to. He's on Forbes. Ethan Hale. He's a billionaire." Ava nearly dropped her coffee pot. "You're joking." Lily shoved her phone toward her. There was his photo, Ethan in a tailored navy suit, standing before a glass building with the caption, "Ethan Hale, founder and CEO of Hale Dynamics." When Ethan came later that day, she served his coffee without meeting his eyes. The warmth between them had cooled into uncertainty. He noticed immediately. "You saw it," he said quietly. She looked up, embarrassed. "Yeah, I just didn't realize who you'd become." He sighed, resting his hand on the counter. "I didn't come here for business, Ava. I came here because of you." Her breath caught. "What do you mean?" "I bought this building," he admitted softly. "I was supposed to meet the cafe's owner about renovations. But then I saw you, and I couldn't walk away." Her eyes widened. "You bought Brew and Bloom." He nodded. "Not to change it. I wanted to see if I could give you what you once wanted." Ava frowned. "What I wanted?" He smiled. "You used to talk about opening your own cafe. You said you wanted a place filled with light and books and good people." Her heart twisted. "That was a long time ago, Ethan. Then maybe it's time to make it real." He stepped closer, his voice low. "Partner with me. I'll handle the business side, you make the coffee. Like we used to dream." She stared at him, the boy she'd once known, now a man who could make the impossible possible. Slowly, she smiled through the tears forming in her eyes. "Okay," she said softly. "But only if I still get to name it." He grinned. "Deal." They stood there, laughter mingling with the hum of the city outside. Two souls, once separated by time and fortune, had found their way back to each other, over a cup of coffee, and a promise reborn.